again, thanks so much for being here. You're going to talk about the power of going one-to-one with your salespeople. Right now it's, from a management perspective, very difficult because you're not in person creating that culture. So very excited to hear your presentation as I manage people as well. So,
Rachel, should we tell people to ask, should we tell people to ask questions in the chat or in the Q&A?
In the chat is where I'll post I'll start it out by posting something in there just so people know where to post it. So Michael's the founder and president of Northbound Sales Training. He's a serial entrepreneur where he cut his teeth building sales teams across many industries. Since opening Northbound in 2007, he's trained thousands of salespeople and sales leaders around the world. So very happy to have you here. We're very lucky to have you here. It sounds like you've got some vast experience. I look forward to hearing all about it. So I'll leave you to it and I'll come back towards the end just to help with any questions.
Okay, sounds good.
Thanks so much, Michael.
Okay, thanks, Rachel. Sorry, guys, this is, I had this session, and then, of course, they're cutting the grass outside on the exact same time I'm doing the session, so hopefully you can't hear that too much. Okay, so I've got to go through this in about 30 minutes, and usually this is like a 2.5 hour session. So I know you guys are probably smarter than the average salesperson, so we're going to move fast, and I don't think you have any problem catching it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you one of the best techniques for growing your salespeople. We know that as sales managers, our job is not necessarily to grow sales, it's to grow our salespeople. We grow sales by growing our salespeople. And if I were to, we have lots and lots of modules at Northbound on sales leadership, but if I were to choose one strategy or technique to grow your salespeople the fastest and the most, it would be this, okay, conducting a weekly goals to growth meeting. So what we're going to be doing here is going to be walking through, all our stuff is very practical and tactical. So I'm going to be walking through the steps in conducting a goals to growth meeting. So what is a goals to growth meeting? Well, first off, as the name implies, it's where you're going to be reviewing your goals with your people. So guys, I'm just going to close this door for 1 second. Sorry about that. Okay, so guys, I'm really big on goal setting. I was probably brainwashed at a young age. When I was in university, I ran a franchise for college pro painters, and I was just a kid at U of T, and they brainwashed us totally on the power of goal setting. I'd never been exposed to it. You do a degree in business and economics, and you don't get any of this kind of stuff. And I found it to be incredibly eye-opening. So all the sales teams I've run over the years, various companies that I've operated, we've always made goal setting part of it. Okay, it's just the way we do business. Every salesperson was trained how to set goals, because most people don't know how to set them, and goal management, so how to achieve them. And one of the things that they were asked to do is to have annual goals, obviously, break those down into monthly goals, break those down into weekly goals, and then we would have a weekly one-on-one. And that's why we call it a goals to growth meeting. So these are one-on-ones with all your salespeople. And Monday morning after we had our executive team meeting, I'd have one-on-ones with all my key people, and they were just stacked up, just like airplanes coming in at Pearson. Just 8:30, 9 o'clock, 9:30, boom, boom, boom. And Monday mornings were generally taken up with my G2G meetings. So part of this is naturally that your people have to have written goals, and you need to have trained them or have them trained on how to manage the goal process. So I'll take you through, once they've got that done, then you're going to have these one-on-one meetings each week with them. And let me go through what that's all about. Let's get this open here. Okay, so what is a G2G? Well, they're regularly scheduled one-on-one meetings with your people. And this is a quote from an old book, but it's still a bestseller. They just revised it, I think, last year, called The 1 Minute Manager. If you haven't read it in the past, then go get it. You can get it online. It'll show up at your door, and it's a very thin book like this, lots of white space, big fonts, so it won't take you very long to read. But that's an incredibly powerful book because it goes through, because it's like management by numbers. To manage your people, do this, do this, do this. And so this is a quote out of the book. I listen while my people review and analyze what they accomplished last week. the problems they had and what still needs to be accomplished. Then we develop plans and strategies for the upcoming week. So that's what this is all about. Now, to give you an idea of how powerful weekly G2Gs are, Profit Magazine, they got the editors together a few years ago, and it was their 30th anniversary. They got all the former editors together, and they said, hey, for the 30th anniversary, why don't we do a little piece on the 30 best business building ideas? Okay, now these aren't strictly just about sales. This is generally a magazine that's focused on entrepreneurs. So 30 ideas in order of priority. The number one idea was going one-to-one with your people. Anybody who wants the article, ping me, and I'll send you a copy of it. But why should you do them? Well, a few reasons. One is obviously it's generally accepted as being a fantastic way to grow your people. Two, it gives you a formal time to coach your direct reports on goal achievement. Okay, so you have this specific time that's put aside just to coach them one-on-one. Your reps will feel better supported. Now, my clients have pretty much all adopted this over the years, and I've got to be straight with you in that at the beginning, people generally hate them. They go, what the heck? Hey, I'm one of your top salespeople, Mike. Why are you dragging me in here once a week? And grilling me about this and grilling me about that. Okay, and so you have to explain what the purpose of them is, and we'll get to that. But after a few months, mark my words, if you do it, they will feel better supported, and they will consider that half hour, 20 minutes, half an hour to be the best 20 minutes, half an hour out of their week. And it happens all the time. Well, number 4, it does increase accountability. Is there a relationship between accountability and sales performance? Well, I don't have to tell you that. We know, and there's lots of evidence to show that there's a massive correlation between goal achievement and accountability. So yes, there's an accountability piece, but if it's done properly, accountability, the term accountability makes salespeople's hair stand up, right? And it strikes the fear of God in them. But we know that it gets better results. And at the end of the year, when they've hit their goals and they're making lots of money and they're happy, the accountability will be long forgotten. So another advantage that I found extremely helpful is this idea of task batching. Okay, we know from time management, the idea of task batching is an efficient way to get things done. If you do your laundry, you don't go down, wash one pair of socks, put it in the dryer, run back up and put it in your top drawer. No, that wouldn't be too efficient. You do things in batches. So the beautiful thing I loved about these G2Gs is that you could stack up stuff with people. So instead of interrupting them and going back and forth several times throughout the week, and anytime you have a stream of consciousness thinking, oh, I better send them an email, oh, I better call them. Some stuff, if it's not urgent, if it doesn't need to be discussed with them on that specific day at that specific time, you can let it stack up. So I would have a file on everybody, and I'd just write it down. Oh, you know what? I do need to cover that with Jim on Monday at the G2G. So I'd write it down. And when we get to the meeting, there's a bunch of stuff, and I'd encourage all the team members to do the same thing. Hey, so if someone came up to me, oh, Mike, you got to talk to you about something. Okay, first thing they knew me really well when I was running a large team. Okay, how urgent is this? And can it wait for our weekly G2G? Well, yeah, it could. Okay. So write that down, put it on your agenda. We'll cover it at the end of our G2G on Monday. Okay, great. And they would learn after a while to stack stuff up. So that's a great time advantage. And the thing I love about it too is that it eliminates the micromanaging. Okay, so you have this weekly meeting. You're agreeing on what their goals are for the week. You're agreeing on how they're going to reach those goals. All the tactics. You're going to, okay, so you want to call these 7 existing clients. Okay, how many prospecting calls do you want to do this week? Okay, what are you shooting for a number of new meetings? I'd like to have 3 meetings. I'd like to close 1 deal. Okay, great, sounds good. And you're not every day going, hey, hey, Jim, how you doing today? Hey, how'd that go? How'd that go? How'd that go? How'd that go? And just get off my case. This is beautiful in that you've got a 1-week check-in with them. You shake hands, either virtually or maybe literally post-pandemic, and they're on their way. And you might do a check-in with them, midweek. Hey, just thought to check in, see how you're doing. And I know that you're shooting for this week. What can I do to help you? That's a lot different than saying, hey, did you get this done? Did you get this done? What about that? What are you doing tomorrow? that's going to drive them crazy. And if there's one thing salespeople hate, it's micromanaging. So a beautiful thing about this is that it eliminates a ton of the back and forth and a lot of things that salespeople would consider to be micromanaging. Okay, so setting the stage. So you're going to have to explain to them what this is all about. Why are we having these weekly meetings? Okay, so the purpose is so that I can help you reach your goals. I frankly do want to make sure that you have a plan for the week. I think you'll agree that having a plan is probably better than not having a plan. It'd be kind of tough for a salesperson to fight you on that one. And we're going to work on things together. I'd like to know how I can best support you as your manager. And so it'll save a lot of time. You know, I don't have to check in with you all the time. Once a week, it'll save us both a lot of time. Okay, great. And you're going to have to explain to them. And then you get into it. So I've got all broken up here. If anybody wants the slides, just ping me later and I can share them with you. But I've got it broken into 5-minute increments here. So in the first 5 minutes, I'm not going to go through it in tons of detail here, but you want them to come prepared to that meeting. You don't want, and it'll take some time. It would take probably a couple of months generally to ramp someone up and get them onboarded on this whole process. But you want them to come to the meeting with their goals and what they got done last week, which goals they reached, which goals they didn't reach, what got in their way. If they did reach a goal, what helped them reach their goal. You want them to come prepared. That's half of it. It's like when the teacher says, oh, by the way, I'm going to check the homework on Monday morning. Oh, geez, you know, he's going to check the homework. I better get it done. So, you know, they're going to get it done. And they're going to sit and spend the 15 to 20 minutes that we teach in our goal setting workshop every Sunday or sometime before Monday morning to plan their week. That weekly visioning session is incredibly important for them. You want to make sure they're doing it. So they come in prepared. And some of the best people, I had my COO at another company, and Andrew McGilvery was his name. He was fantastic. Boy, he would come in, he'd have all his goals marked down, what percentage he achieved, what got in the way, what he's going to do. So you might have to coach them out in the beginning, but after a while, you want them to be telling you all this stuff. You don't want to be riding them. So, you know, Andrew would come in and say, this situation, this got in my way, you know, this thing came out of nowhere, kind of, you know, got in the way of reaching my goal last week, but I'm going to get back on track this week by doing this and this. And with Andrew, it was like, oh, okay, sounds good, Andrew. How can I help? Well, you could do this. Okay, great. Yeah, sounds good. Now, we have templates. We have tons of templates at Northbound. We have templates for everything. And this is our goal planner. Okay, so this is a template. This is an example of a typical goal planner with a salesperson. So we have it on the left, what the monthly goal is, goals for that week. So obviously the goals for the week, they should be asking themselves, what do I need to get done this week, or what do I want to get done this week that'll help me reach this goal by the end of the month? Okay, and that's what they want to be asking themselves. And then they prioritize them. A means that if it's not done by the end of the month, or sorry, end of the week in this case, something evil is going to happen. You know, something really bad is going to happen. So it's urgent and important. And B, priority is important, but not so urgent. If it does roll over to the next week, it's not the end of the world. Okay, but all the goals are important. There's no goals in there that aren't important. The only difference between A and B is level of urgency. So then we get them to break them into tasks. So, hey, you want to send 10 intro emails, prospect emails to prospects? Well, where are they going to come from? Break those into tasks. Okay, well, I've got referrals from ABC and XYZ, and I'm going to send them out on Monday. You know, I got the leads on Monday. I'm going to send out the emails on Monday too. Plugged in means that it's actually plugged into their time management system. So they would be looking on their phone or on their computer, whatever they use for to-dos, and it would say, okay, I've sent out 10 today, and it would be marked as an A or a B for that specific day. So once they get trained and they get skilled at this whole goal setting thing, your G to Gs are a piece of cake. Okay, so half of it is just getting them to plan, using the tools that we train them on, and having them show up well prepared. Okay, so that's the first 5 minutes. So they're telling you what they did, what they got done last week. Next 5 minutes. It doesn't have to be exactly 5 minutes, but you know, it's the order is the important thing here. So they're going to explain to you why. So they don't just come and say, well, I know that I wanted to make 50 cold calls, you know, but I made 10. Okay, great. And what's your goal this week? 50 again? Well, naturally, that's not going to make a lot of sense. So they've got to explain to you why, you know, what's going on here. And you want to get them to tell you why. You don't say, why? What happened there? What got in your way? Hey, okay, but you know, you're going to coach them and try to be their almost like consultant slash coach on figuring out what got in the way of them reaching their own goals. So these aren't being pushed on. And you know, the research shows that if someone is the author of their own goals, they have a considerably greater chance of reaching them than if the goals are pushed on them. So I'd recommend you get them to set their goals. And most salespeople are pretty ambitious and goal-oriented. So, you know, you might get the odd person sandbagging it, but for the most part, salespeople, they're pretty good at setting goals. Okay, so they're going to explain, you know, what's going to happen this week to overcome what got in their way last week. But also, you know, don't just grill them on what happened that they didn't reach their goals. If they did reach their goals, hey, let's celebrate. Hey, great. You wanted to make 50 cold calls last week and you did. That's fantastic. What allowed you to do that? Well, I didn't do it a couple weeks before that, but I blocked out the time in my agenda. I turned off all interruptions. I just locked myself down with my email and my phone, and I just got it done. Okay, and so that's, you want to make sure you praise them, pardon me, on achieving goals, even getting some things done, and maybe redirect and coach them on things that didn't get done, because behavior that gets rewarded gets repeated. We know that. Okay, that's a fact. Okay, so then you're going to give some feedback. Hey, so the goals might be, you know, are they challenging? Are they a nice balance between being challenging and realistic, or are they, you know, crazy pie in the sky stuff? And give them some feedback. And this one, you're going to use some things from the one-minute manager on praisings and redirections. And then you want to make sure that there's a learning goal in there. I'm big on learning, of course, because I'm a sales trainer, but I've always been big on learning. That's why I got into the business. And what we want to do is we want to make sure that they have something in there every week that will improve their skill and effectiveness as a salesperson. It's funny because once people are onboarded, they tend to flatline. You know, geez, I've been in sales for 10 years. What, you know, we train on, well, you've been making the same mistakes for 10 years now. Maybe it's time we fix some of those things up. Okay, so experience or time in a job does not correlate all the time to increased effectiveness. And people make the same mistakes over and over and over. That's why I'm in the sales training business. Most salespeople make the same mistakes over and over again. So ensure that there's some sort of learning goal in there. Are they going to get better prospecting? Are they going to rewrite their script? Are they going to practice doing their presentations in a virtual medium rather than doing face-to-face like they've been doing pre-pandemic? Personal goals, they're optional. They don't have to bring personal goals in. You know, that's up to them. But I got to tell you, at my company 2 companies ago, a company called Barter Plus, at one point, I guess at Toronto office, we had 6 offices, but at Toronto office, we had probably 30-something people, 30, 40 people. And almost every person had their personal goals as well. They found that the exact same success they were having with their business goals was working for their personal goals. So they'd share them. And when we were small, when we were at a couple of dozen people, we'd have people put their goals on the projector, and we had people putting in and want to run a half marathon. I want to renovate my kitchen, and they found it was helpful, and it is helpul. If you vocalize or share your goals with somebody, you automatically have a 15% increased chance of reaching them. Okay, so you're going through it, making sure that they've got the right goals in there and that they're reasonable goals. We teach the SMART criteria: specific, measurable, action-oriented, review, and time activated. We teach the SMART criteria at Northbound for goal achievement. You want to make sure that they have those 5 components. And do they have too many goals? Maybe not enough. And what I recommend you do when you're reviewing their goals is try to always relate their activity and actions and goals in this short time frame, being a week, to their long-term goals. Because what happens is that people love the idea of reaching a goal at the end of the year, but what they don't love is the stuff that they have to do to get there. So, you know, people love being healthy, people love being strong, people love building muscle, all those things. But I don't know too many people that actually like lifting weights. I've tried it a few times. They're heavy. And so you've got to help them see that connection. I think for most salespeople, they'd rather clean out the toilet with a toothbrush than make cold calls. Okay, so, but you've got to help them see the connection between picking up that phone, which might all of a sudden, gee, iPhone 12, I didn't realize it weighed 50 pounds because I can barely get it to my ear. And they pick it up, and you've got to make that connection between them picking up that phone and making that cold call, and maybe putting up with some rejection, and to their longer term goals. If you do, that's great. That's great, Jim. If you can do this week, then that's going to be you're going to be able to book that many meetings, and that you can close generally about 30% of those. That's going to help you hit your target for the end of the year. So all of a sudden they see the end game instead of the pain and drudgery of the short-term things. Okay, so that's what you want to do towards the end of the meeting. And then at the, towards at the very end, you're going to ask them, is there anything else they'd like to cover? So this is when you're covering off all those miscellaneous. Oh, I want to talk about this, want to talk about that. Hey, I was wondering about this. All the things that you have stacked up for the week that weren't super urgent, that could wait for your weekly meeting. And again, that's the idea of task batching. Now, I would recommend that you use language like this. You can, use your own words, but you want to communicate to them that you're there to help them. Okay, and that starts transitioning your role from a manager more into a coach. Is there anything else I can do to help you? Okay, I really want you to hit your targets this week and hit your goals. What can I do to help? Even if they say nothing really, just the offer goes a long way. When wow, my manager is there to help me. And every week when we have these meetings, he asks what he can do to help. That is going to be a powerful little tactic they can use. And shake hands either virtually or literally, and it's over. So to summarize there, G2Gs are the single best idea to grow your salespeople. And goal setting is a process including review of goals. So before we called them G2Gs, my other companies called them R&GS meetings. It's a little bit longer handle that stood for review and goal setting, because I've done a lot of research on goal setting. I'm kind of a goal setting freak, I guess. And we have people who constantly set goals, but sadly only about 30% of people reach their goals on a regular basis. Why? It's not because they don't know how to set them properly, but also they don't know how to manage the process. How many people set goals that they want to get healthy, and right around the first week of the year, New Year's resolutions we call them, and then they flame out within a few weeks. In fact, 25% of people who set New Year's resolutions, research shows 25% of people who set New Year's resolutions don't even make it through the first week, let alone 365 days or 52 weeks. So this idea of helping them reach their goals is going to give them that feeling of accomplishment. They're going to feel more in control. Salespeople, they like to be in control. That's their personality type. And when they have their week locked down, they have a plan, they've got you there as a resource, and they know that they're going to be they're going to be held accountable next week. They are going to hit their goals much more often, and they're going to love you for it. Maybe not at that moment, but they're going to love you for it eventually. And research shows that this is a study done by the American Society of Training and Development, and it shows that the chance of a sales rep reaching their goal increases by 45% with G2Gs. They don't call them G2Gs. They call them, what the heck they call them in this study? It was a terrible name. Accountability appointment. Wow, that sounds painful. So naturally, we don't use that language. That sounds accountability appointment. Oh my God, it means checking in. So if you're checking in regularly with somebody, your chance of reaching your goals increases dramatically. And frankly, you guys should be doing this yourself. If you don't do it in a business point of view, maybe you already have something set up, maybe you have a manager, maybe you have to report to VP sales, president, whatever. But the exact same strategy works in your personal life. So I told you I'm a goal setting freak. Every Friday morning, first Friday of every month, I have an hour-long check-in call with my accountability partner, I'll call him, a guy named Chris Brown. Respect his opinion. He just is very straight out with me. I share my goals for the month. He shares his goals for the month. So we have our own G to Gs on our personal things. So, I mean, I believe in this stuff. And why do I believe it? Because I've seen it work. And so the beautiful thing, build them into your schedule. Now, some people might think, some of the pushback I get sometimes is well, I don't have enough time to do that. I've got 8 sales reps reporting to me. Let's see, 8 times half an hour. I don't have an extra half day a week. Okay, well, it's not exactly 30 minutes because I can tell you, I've done it. I've trained dozens of companies on this, trained hundreds of salespeople to do this kind of stuff. It does increase the time, but it's not exactly 30 minutes because the 30 minutes that you spend with them, 20, 30 minutes, you get a lot of that back with the reduction in the back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Oh, I think I'll just send an email to Mike and ask him, oh, I think you've got things set, you've got your plan, I've got a clear idea as to what I want to accomplish this week, I've got everything I need, go. And the beautiful thing is it puts your team on autopilot. I'm all about automating the sales management process. And it was beautiful. I mean, it just when I did it with my own team, but now I get to see it with some of my clients too. Okay, so that's pretty much the wrap. I'm going to leave you with a quote here. I love this quote, and I'm not really into football that much, but I do love this quote. Tom Landry, he obviously he's a winning NFL coach. He said, "Leadership is getting someone to do what they don't want to do to achieve what they want to achieve," and that's what this is all about. You're going to help them achieve what they want long term by breaking it down and helping them get the stuff done on a week-to-week basis that maybe they don't want to do, but is going to help them in the long run, and they're going to love you for it. Okay, chat here. So Linda, anything you would do differently with new reps, new to sales, new to your company? Yes, I would hire Northbound sales training to train them properly. That's what I would do. Okay, but if you want to chat with me offline about that, I'm happy to talk about that. It's lengthier answer than what I can give here. Okay, any other questions in the chat there? Just put them in. If you want to, I can put in my email address here. Let me just put that in, and you can ping me if you'd like, and I can send you a copy of the slides.
Hi, Michael. Thanks so much for that. I was just going to ask, or I was going to ask you to put your contact information in there, so that's great. Sure.
There it is.
There's a lot of information in a very short time frame. I enjoyed it thoroughly. I have a question actually. You mentioned you have an accountability partner, which I think is very cool. I've never heard of that before, and I think it's a very awesome concept to have someone that you kind of can hold you accountable for your goals. Because I find I'm a big goal setter. I am a list maker. I am I'm going to accomplish these 3 things today, but the accountability part, yeah, you can set the goals, but the accountability part is the hard part, right? So if you don't have an accountability partner, which I'm going to get one because I think that's really good. What do you do? Like, how do you hold yourself? Like, what are some tactics that you use to hold yourself or maybe your sales team accountable?
Yeah, so I would, first off, you're doing the right thing. I'd get an accountability partner, but let me give you a tip, Rachel. Do not use your spouse. Okay.
Good idea.
that is a recipe for disaster. And if we do that naturally, that will increase the divorce rate considerably, I'm sure. Okay. Because and don't pick your partner because if you say, well, I wanted to make X number of cold calls, I want to do this, and well, what happened there? Would you quit nagging at me? That's it. And then you got to pick a person that fits your personality too. So pick someone who's living the life that you dream of. They've got their stuff together. I couldn't pick my sister, for instance. She is the sweetest person on earth. She's a social worker for challenged kids. But regardless of what I told her, she would say something complimentary because she's so freaking nice. I'd say, I wanted 100 cold calls last week and I made 30. She'd say, oh, well, Michael, I've heard you make them. You're really good at that. And I know it's tough to find the time to, I don't need someone like that. I respond best to someone who says, what the heck are you doing? So one thing that you can do is build into your schedule. If you don't have an accountability partner, that you will sit down and review your goals once a week. Now, I can't show you my calendar right now, but if you saw my calendar, every Sunday night, it's just like clockwork. Every Sunday night, I sit down and I plan my week. And so if you build that review process into your own calendar and into your own schedule, that's going to help you until you get the accountability up.
Very good. Yeah, no, it's the reviewing part, because you set the goals and you don't make time to review them. So it's what's the point of setting them, right, in the first place?
It's painful sometimes, right? You look at it and go, oh, I didn't get that done. Oh, geez, I didn't get that done. A lot of people just crumple it up and throw it away. Oh, let's start fresh.
Right, which is not very good at achieving those goals if you're doing that. So, but thank you so much. Our panel is going to start shortly. We have our networking area that's open. I just want to say thank you so much, Michael, for being here, for your time and preparing all that content. If anyone wants to reach out to you, your email address is in the chat there, which is amazing. You are a sales trainer extraordinaire, so definitely great for any sales managers to reach out for that extra little bit of training for their staff. Do you do training programs, or sorry, I might have missed that.
We've got a whole library of we've got about 24 modules for salespeople, about 12 for sales leaders, and then you bring the modules in as needed. Some people don't need help with prospecting, so you wouldn't train them on that. So you bring the modules in depending on the needs of the team, and you build a program.
And all that information is on your website?
Yes. Yes.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for that. I appreciate it. So we have about 8 minutes for networking. If you guys want to head over to the networking area on the left-hand side.
Okay. Good luck, everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. And our panel's coming up at 3:30, where we have, I think there's 5 or 6 panelists that are going to be on talking about their strategies and what's been happening over the course of the pandemic with their sales teams. So definitely should be a great conversation. Thanks again, Michael. And I look forward to seeing everybody in the networking area. Thanks.
Bye-bye.